Alright, YouTube, what is going on? It is Zaya here from Zaya&TheSteelers back with another video. And today's video really doesn't have a topic. We have the Seahawks game coming up. There's been some kind of storylines with the Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph situation. There are playoff scenarios. And on top of that, something I want to talk about that we'll get to a little later. Myles Garrett is not the defensive player of the year. It is tjwatt. Like, it's always been tjwatt. But like I said, I will get to that later. For now, if you guys are Steelers fans or you enjoy NFL content in general and end up liking this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, all of that fun stuff. Anywho, Week 17, man, we are debating Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. What a year it has been for the Steelers and Mike Tomlin and Kenny and Mason and fucking Mitch and everybody, even the fans watching. It has been quite to the year this year. I had way higher expectations, and up until the last Browns game that Mason Rudolph played, we just weren't hitting them. We just weren't playing as good as I thought we could. We weren't playing to the level that I thought was portrayed in the preseason. Of course, you know, we had Matt Canada and we let him go halfway through the season, halfway too long, but halfway through the season or something like that. Kenny comes in, or Kenny plays the game without Matt Canada, and we look good against the same team Mason Rudolph looked good against, but the points just they weren't there. Kenny gets hurt, Mitch comes in, throws the playoffs for us again. By the way, the second year of him doing this shit, by the way. Last season, it was the one Baltimore game where we were rolling, we lose that game. You know, it is what it is. This time, Mitch comes in, we lose these games. Mason comes in the next game after facing two two-win teams, puts up 40 points, but whatever, man. So, yeah, that's where we are right now. We're trying to figure out, is Mason Rudolph a guy? Is Kenny Pickett a guy? And a situation that has hit us, a situation that has hit Kenny Pickett is, you ask Kenny Pickett, man, he's healthy. You ask Kenny Pickett, he's ready to play. He is medically cleared, I believe, as well. I don't know. Yeah, this says despite being healthy. Shout out to Steelers Nation. I'm not going to click this. This isn't the only, thing about it. I kind of just wanted to have something up to portray this situation of Kenny and, Kenny being benched essentially. Because that's what it is. Let's call a spade. Man, and it's a bench, but like to me, and, big Kenny Pickett fan, big Pitt helmet in the back, big I got the jersey. To me, this is like a strategical kind of bench, It's like a Kenny, you can play, but after the performance of last week out of Mason Rudolph, Kenny, if you don't perform to that standard, it's cooked, bro, and it'll never come back again. Now, I will say the fan support is waning. I don't know, maybe here we are with Mason Rudolph playing, maybe the organizational faith is waning. But to me, the best case scenario is Kenny sits this one out. To me, for the long-term kind of future overall landscape of things, Kenny, you just got to sit this one out. Unless Mason unless he goes back to being, horrible or whatever, no offense to Mason Rudolph, but unless, things go back to kind of normal for Mason Rudolph, there to me is no reason to play Kenny, because all it is going to do is aggravate injuries. And on top of that, if he does not put up the 30-point performance that Mason Rudolph had against the Bengals, points-wise, once again, we talked about this. Kenny played great in the first game against the Bengals. First game, no Matt Canada. If Deontay doesn't drop that touchdown, I think we put up the same amount of points. But, it's whatever. It's a topic for a different video. But if Kenny didn't do that against Seattle this week, and let's just say Mason, we never see him play again after the Bengals game, and we just see Kenny come in, fucking 10 points at most, we see that happen, and maybe we win, maybe we lose, because Kenny do be getting those wins. Either way, it would not be a good situation. It would further escalate the Kenny stinks, doesn't he? Man, Joe Flacco came off the couch and in 2 games has way more touchdowns than Kenny Pickett. It's just one of those things. And so that's to me. Once again, that is to me. Let me know how you guys are feeling about that. I still think it is the smarter move to I guess to play Mason. I don't know. Maybe it's not the smarter move. Maybe Kenny does give us a hurt Kenny Pickett does give us a better chance to win. But unfortunately, I can only pull out the Pitt highlights so much. Unfortunately, I can only be like, Kenny Pickett is the 2021 ACC champion so much. When we talk about the NFL, shit to show for it, it just hasn't been there yet. And once again, as I've stated numerous times, if Kenny Pickett were to touch that field after that performance we had against Cincinnati with Mason Rudolph in there, if Kenny Pickett hit that field and Kenny Pickett did not put up this a similar performance, it's cooked, and we lost him. It's cooked because we know our fans. We know how much. And I'm throwing this out here too. You know how much those Penn State fans hate the Pitt players, man. You know how much they've been waiting to get their shit off. They've attached themselves to Mitchell Trubisky at one point. They attached themselves to Mason Rudolph now. They hate Kenny Pickett, man, and they hate Pitt players. That's a whole different argument too. But you guys get the point of, like, man, the optics could look really bad. At least now we let Mason kind of take himself out if that's going to happen. The ultimate, like, holy shit is if Mason Rudolph is just a guy and continues to be a guy for, you know, the foreseeable 2 games. Like, if Mason balls out these last 2 games and we go to the playoffs and Mason plays in that too, and God forbid I start thinking about a Mason Rudolph playoff win, man. If that happens, like, I don't. If that happens, if I'm Mason Rudolph, I'm looking Mike Tomlin in the eyes and I am like, see ya. And I am taking the highest contract out of Pittsburgh because this is just absolutely disrespectful. It was absolutely disrespectful to have Mitchell Trubisky playing ahead of Mason Rudolph to me. Especially the one game Mason played. We're talking about one game. And I know there's a whole other, you know, context of things. We had the tie in the Lions. We had the bench for Duck. We had the hit by the helmet, which really, is that his fault? Like, why do we attach that to him? I don't know. I'm nasty. But, you know, it happened. And then same thing. Fuck it. Earl Thomas hit too. Like, these are just bad luck for Mason Rudolph has happened. And he had the one good luck game against the Bengals. If he can parlay that into another good game against the Seahawks and another good game against the Ravens and then another good game in the playoffs, Mason is about to get a bag, man. I didn't think it was going to happen. Mason's going to get a bag. But anyway, if Mason balls out, do we, like, come to him with a contract? Are we like, yo, you're the guy now? Because to me, I still think you let Mason see this through, right? And once again, this is I don't know, worst case scenario, best case scenario, whatever. We let Mason see this through. Whatever happens, happens. And then from there, you have Mason, you have Kenny. That's 2 quarterbacks right there. You have Mason and Kenny. Mitchell Trubisky, out of here. Get him out of here. Trace McSorley, I don't know, maybe, but, you know, for now, let's not envision a world with Trace McSorley. So past that, you got Mason and Kenny, both of which maybe aren't the greatest. And so to me, you bring in a third quarterback, whether that is a rookie or, and guys, hear me out, let me cook. Man, you go get Russell Wilson. Oh, Russell Wilson is going to be a free agent. I know. Everyone's like, boo, Russ stinks. He hates his teammates. We don't need that guy. But guys, you guys just got to hear me out. Okay, hear me out. A lot of you are in on Kirk Cousins. Well, Kirk Cousins at this current juncture, I'll stand on it. Well, Kirk Cousins at this juncture is better than Mason Rudolph, better than Russell Wilson. I believe that price tag is going to be high, right? That price tag is going to be high, I think. Between Kirk and Russell Wilson has, you know, legendary type agents. So, you know, maybe Russ gets a super bag, but if it's not a super bag and we don't want to, because to me, we drafted Kenny Pickett, first pick overall 20. If we're taking a quarterback again, no questions. If we take a quarterback again, I want us to trade up, to be honest. I don't want us to take the Kenny Pickett, or I don't want us to take the 4th or 5th quarterback taken off the board. You know, who knows? Maybe they'll be a star. But to me, if we're going to draft a quarterback again, we got to draft. We got to use our highest pick, and we got to trade up and get a guy. And I don't know if that's exactly what we need right now. And Russell Wilson, I don't have the stats up, of course, because I didn't even know I was going to talk about Russell Wilson until, you know, I was 5 minutes away from it. But Russell Wilson, to me, played decent this year. Now we know that the only thing killing him to me is the contract. That's what's getting him cut from Denver. That's what got him, you know, not got him traded from Seattle, but it was kind of a mutual I'm out of here kind of thing, you know. But that has been the thing that's held people back. That has been the thing that held other teams back among, you know, the off the field stuff. I get off the field, you know, Russell Wilson is just like, he's such a good person, but like, I guess he's not the best teammate or whatever. So I guess there's that too. But yeah, like the price tag is really what's been holding people back. If Russell Wilson is available for the cheaper side of things, if Russell Wilson is available for the cheaper side of things, I genuinely think go get Russ, man. And that's if Kenny Pickett stinks still. That's if Kenny Pickett is not a guy. I still have faith. But you bring in Mason, or you bring in Russ, and you have Russ, Mason, and Kenny duke it out, battle it out, triple threat match, over the top rope, battle royale, until we get a quarterback, man. Because the fact that we not found Mason Rudolph, but the fact we went back to Mason Rudolph, just randomly week 15, 16 in the season, after being third string all year, after not being activated all year, and the guy can have this kind of performance when we've had fucking 30 straight games of like not 30 points at all, not even close to that kind of offensive performance. And Mason once again just fucking wakes up one day and is like, oh, I'm him, and can do that. Like, there is no reason for that to happen. There is no way that that's happening. And so if we have this quarterback battle again, if we keep Mason somehow, and we have Kenny again, we're gonna have Kenny again. But if we keep Mason somehow and then we bring in a third quarterback, I'm gonna need all eyes on deck here for Mason Rudolph, and I'm gonna need some honesty and objectivity about Mason Rudolph, because once again, third string. And this is what's so nasty about like the NFL and just these kind of leagues. I guess I don't want to say the NFL, but it happens a lot with like. Just anything. Politics are a thing, and Mitchell Trubisky is getting paid a lot of money, right? And Kenny Pickett is a first round quarterback draft pick, and so that's a pretty big investment into Kenny Pickett, pretty big investment into Mitchell Trubisky, right? So you do both of those things just for fucking Mason Rudolph to be the best quarterback among them. They didn't want to admit it. That to me, that's the only way. They didn't want to admit it. They didn't want to go back on their mistakes, or, and this is even better, Ron Rivera type beat. They just didn't know. Nobody's watching Mason in practice. Nobody gives a fuck about Mason in practice. Nobody cares. He's throwing to the 8th string receiver, so it's like, who cares? I mentioned the politics. That's what happened. Mitchell's making a lot of money, and Kenny is getting a lot of, I guess a lot of money for a first round pick, but like also the first round pick, heavy investment, So nobody cared about Mason. I'm going to need some objectivity. I'm going to need some seriousness this year in the quarterback room. We're not serious because we have Mitchell Trubisky. To me, we're not a serious team with Mitchell. We're not. That, to me, like, the fact that Mitchell played how he did, and then Mason comes in and does what he does, we're not a serious quarterback room. We don't care. We want to run the football and play defense. We don't give a shit about quarterback. And so, maybe you keep Kenny, but maybe you try to get Mason back too. And then, to me, I really think we should draft we should sign a veteran like Russ. Or if we're going to draft a quarterback, we double down. And if we double down, that means we completely cut. And maybe Kenny can be a backup, but if we get another first-round quarterback, Kenny is super gone. And if we do get a first-round quarterback, that means it is for sure Kenny is probably done. He can be a backup, I guess, but like Kenny, the starting future for Kenny, I think, is cooked if we end up drafting a quarterback. If we get Russ, the starting thing is over for that kind of session. But at least Russ is like, I want to say in his 30s. Like, it's not like we're getting another young guy like Kenny. And Kenny, I guess, isn't the youngest, rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback that's out there. But we still can kind of have Kenny chill out for a little bit with Russ. And then, maybe after, as a Kenny Pickett fan, maybe after Kenny gets to come in, and if everybody doesn't hate him by then. Because with a rookie quarterback, it's over. Like, if we get a rookie quarterback, Kenny is probably never going to hit the field again. And I'm saying all this, I see Mason Rudolph on the screen. This is all grounds for if Mason Rudolph doesn't just light it up and we don't sign him to a max contract. Because at this point in the season, man, that shit could happen. So, yeah, I think I am going to leave this topic. I've talked about the Steelers quarterbacks enough, especially for when the room is Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky, and Kenny Pickett. I would say definitely consider Russ. Steelers fans, don't throw tomatoes at me. Don't boo. Just genuinely think about it for a second. Just be like, yo, if he's like for a reasonable contract, maybe. So think about it for a second. Let me know. Anyways, now what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is this. Because there has been a lot of speculation, a lot of talks about Myles Garrett being the Defensive Player of the Year. And we can see on these stats, or just look at the stats real quick, okay? Just look at the stats. What's his name? TJ is winning in everything. TJ Watt is literally winning in everything. Micah Parsons here too. He has the second best odds. TJ has, I believe, the third best odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. Listen. And Cleveland fans, I got a few things to say about the Browns. One, you guys stink, right? You guys are not a good team. You guys are a good team, I guess, this year, but whatever. You guys are horrible. But two, if you guys could come to me with like a big trust, like I swear to God, If you just watch Myles Garrett play, you will know he's the defensive player of the year. You will know he's the best defensive player, right? If they were to come to me and say that, I would be like, no. But I don't watch Browns games, and so maybe you're telling the truth, okay? But they don't do that. They say shit like pass rush win rate, and they say shit like, oh, TJ doesn't get double teamed as much, and they say shit like, oh, Myles is coming from the middle, so it's hard. Man, nobody is trying to hear that, especially when the stats, and that I'm not even going to bring, I'm going to bring up the stats, but I'm going to bring up a different thing later. But the stats are in TJ's favor, right? And on top of that, I can say with a 100% certainty fact, if you watch TJ Watt play for the Steelers, if you watch a TJ Watt game, no stats, fucking zeros, everybody's at zeros, beginning of the thing, if you watch TJ Watt play, you are like, oh shit, this is like the best player on the field right now. As a Steelers fan, I can say that, and I will tell that to other people, and that is just not even thinking about the stats that he's putting up. I will exclude all the stats that TJ Watt is winning in, by the way. I will exclude all of that, and I will tell Browns fans, yo, I swear to God, you guys just might not get it, but TJ Watt is him. I believe Myles Garrett maybe has that argument. I believe even Micah Parsons has that argument, but they don't try to do that. They try to argue it with stats, and they try to argue it with, like, just the randomest of things, and it's just crazy. Like, guys, he is not better than TJ Watt, man. And of course, we talked about the odds. Myles Garrett is the odds favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. A part of me wants to just put money on TJ because, once again, like, you see the stats. Maybe we're not the greatest team right now in terms of, like, record-wise, but, like, we're giving Defensive Player of the Year for team success since fucking when? On top of that, man, we got to talk about it. If we're doing this, Aaron Donald, big pit player, we're spinning back. Because, bro, there were plenty of years where TJ Watt and the Steelers finished much better. Yeah, I'll double down, much better than the Rams. There were plenty of years where that happened. And no, it was not a team record. It was not the best player on the best defense and all this. No, it was not that. And then they'll pull out, TJ Watt gets sacks in garbage time is what Browns fans say, in garbage time. That's how you know they don't watch. When in the fuck are we ever in garbage time when we're not getting blown the hell out? When it's not the 49ers, when it is not the Texans game this year, we look to last year, when it's not the Eagles and Bills games, when are we not in a sweating, crying, fucking, I hate this team, I hate this team, I hate this team, I love this team kind of game? All of our games come down to the wire, and every single time, TJ Watt is a guy who makes a play and changes the game for us. I've seen it live, I've seen it on TV, I've seen it at the bar, at a Creasier/Heinz Field on the TV, I've seen it in all three phases. Guys, TJ Watt is him. And like that's really what it is. TJ Watt is him. And on top of that, Browns fans, congratulations, you guys made the playoffs. And I'm just a salty Steelers fan, and whatever. But Myles Garrett is just it's not true. It's not true that Myles Garrett is the defensive player of the year. To me, kind of similar to the Joel Embiid MVP, because Jokic was doing his thing, but then, whatever, Embiid, you've been close so many times. Here you go. Like, is this what's happening with Myles Garrett? Dare I say participation? Dare I say? And this is just Steeler fan in me. Myles Garrett is, he genuinely is a good player, a great player. But we got TJ Watt on the screen. And is anybody even talking about Micah Parsons? Like, no offense, Micah. Micah's a great player too. But really, this is just, the Steelers fan, big Steeler nation, big TJ Watt. TJ Watt is the GOAT. TJ Watt probably, outside of, dare I say, Antonio Brown or, Ben Roethlisberger. TJ Watt is probably like the best player I've ever seen on the Steelers. Like, this is a guy. So, we can't just be stooging him for Defensive Player of the Years, especially after he's been stooged so many times for Aaron Donald, for who even knows. Bro, Aaron Donald had the big Truz argument. Aaron Donald has the same argument that I'm trying to give for TJ Watt, but now it doesn't work. Aaron Donald's argument was, stats were cool. The stats, were the stats were closer to me than Myles and TJ is right now. The stats were closer. But Aaron Donald had like the big Truz, Shannon Sharp on TV telling you, yo, this guy is great on defense. He's the best player on defense. You had other NFL players telling you, yo, Aaron Donald, he's the best player on defense. He's the best player in our league. Like that, they told you that, and They looked at TJ's stats that were better than Aaron Donald, and they crumpled up the paper, threw it out because Big Truz, people are telling them Aaron Donald is the defensive player of the year, so let's make Aaron Donald the defensive player of the year. This is me telling the whole world TJ Watt is him. So whatever, and on top of that, he's winning in the stats too. Like, what are we talking about right now? He's winning in the stats. He's winning in my heart. He has never hit a quarterback with the helmet. We got to pull it out, man. He's never done that, man. Like, what are we, come on, give TJ his second defensive player of the year. Myles Garrett, give you the best right end pass rush win rate of the year, I guess. And Micah Parsons, I don't know if I want to go there. So, TJ Watt should at least finish second, guys. All right. TJ Watt should at least be second place. Come on, guys. What are we doing, man? But once again, ultimate point. All three of these guys are great players. All three of these guys, you'd want on your team. But, TJ Watt, sacks, quarterback hits, pressures, tackles for loss, tackle. These aren't even Mickey stats. Guys, there's a lot of times, too. I'll leave this topic soon, I swear. But there is a lot of times, too, where the stats they're pulling out for Myles Garrett, no context, could be fucking pitching stats. For all it's like I threw 9 and they're like, oh, Myles Garrett, he's winning. And it's like, bro, nobody even knows what that stat is. But here we got sacks, 17-13. What is the date on this? December 30th? It is December 30th today. Perfect. Sacks, 17-13. QB hits 33-26. Pressures 59-43. Tackles for loss, same thing, 16-16. Tackles 58-39, 41-30. Has an interception. Tied and forced fumbles. I'm weak that they're tied and forced fumbles, but they'll give it to TJ. That's funny. Tied and forced fumbles. Fumbles recovered. Passes deflected. Touchdowns. TJ Watt has a touchdown, man. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like literally in every stat, TJ is beating him in. I believe Myles Garrett has played less games, but now I'm gonna hit you with, because it always whenever it's us, I'm gonna use this for us, so I'm gonna hit you guys with it. Availability. So. I will say that. That's all I'll say about this. TJ Watt is the defensive player of the year. I've given my spiel. I've given my take on it. And now before I do that, before I leave this super, Jared Kane. Shout out to Jared Kane. Pretty big Steelers account. He had this to say about Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns. Put the rivalry to the side. I am so happy for Joe Flacco, man. What Cleveland is doing this year with how injured they are is special. Really happy for them and their fans. They deserve this. I don't want to call out I don't want to call out the person, Jared. I'm not saying you, but guys, we can't be doing this. We can't be talking about what Cleveland is doing this year. We can't, guys. This team, ever since that playoff game, has been the absolute most annoying team on this earth. And what's going on with Joe Flacco, former Raven, by the way, Joe Flacco, is very cool for him, I guess. Congratulations. But fam, who cares? We do this every year. The Steelers do this every single year. Fucking injuries everywhere. 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins. Cleveland, they're like not even Mickey Mouse in it though, low key. Cleveland's like I think 11 wins or 10 wins, and they're doing their thing. They're playing well. Oh well. But we do this all the time, man. And on top of that, I'm not letting anybody get the Browns support off without giving Lamar and the Ravens support. If we're not gonna do that, we're not rooting for the Browns, because to me, it's like we can't even look at Lamar and be like, oh, he's having a good year. We can't even look at Lamar and be like, oh, he's doing his thing, blah 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 blah. Like, no, he's a running back and he sucks and the Ravens suck, right? That is the argument for that. So if we're doing that, for the Browns, we're talking about, man, what they're doing is special. What? For the Browns, and they're trying to Mickey Mouse Myles Garrett as Defensive Player of the Year, industry plant Myles Garrett. They're, top 5. Yo, guys, what they're doing for Myles Garrett is so nasty. It's like the sack leaders, right, for the year. And, sometimes it'll be top 5, sometimes it'll be top 10. No, these guys are putting 8 people on the list because Myles Garrett is at 8. They're literally moving it to include him. There's a garbage truck going by. Granted, we're talking about the Browns, man. I'm just salty. I'm just upset. I'm still mad about that playoff game. I'm still mad about seeing Ben on the bench, all sad. So maybe I'm just salty. Maybe this is whatever. But to me, as a Steelers fan, as Zaya and the Steelers, I had to go all out. I had to put it out there, put my face to it. Like, TJ Watt is a defensive player of the year. Myles Garrett, very good player, but come on, guys. Like, can we be honest right now? Like, participation trophies, really? Like, I get it. It's 2023, about to be 2024. Wow. It is about to be 2024. Holy shit. I get it, though. You know, big participation trophy era, but we can't be doing this to TJ. Not when we have a potential GOAT, you know, on the cusp here. Like, TJ Watt, he gets another defensive player of the year, and all of the records he has, the sacks, all that. Like, hey man, we could be messing up some legacies. And then, you know, before I leave, this one last thing, I remember the Chiefs were getting their shit off about, like, oh, you know, you messed up a Hall of Fame play because you called us offsides. Like, guys, if you give Myles Garrett the Defensive Player of the Year, you're messing up a Hall of Fame career for TJ Watt. And he already is a Hall of Famer too. He already is for sure. But, like, you know, we're talking about power scaling stuff. You know, it's just crazy. But lastly, I do want to finish this with this. We are playing Devin Bush and the Seattle Seahawks next week. The reason why I have Devin Bush on here is because he is quite the polarizing player, at least for Steelers fans. There are a lot of people who just, you know, they hate him. There are a lot of people who were calling him out constantly. And, like, I guess let me give some kind of context here. We traded up to take Devin Bush in the 2019 NFL draft, I believe 2018 or 2019. We traded up. He played good. He got hurt, came back from injury, was never the same. And you know how Steelers fan gets, you know how the media gets. We're calling him out daily. And Devin Bush, you know, kind of on his Rashard Mendenhall, kind of on his Antonio Brown, kind of on his, you know, whatever. He responds back. He's just not gonna take these comments. Like he's tweeting back. Like he has a Twitter too. He responded to the comments. Like it was a big thing at the time of, like, you know, they're calling out Devin Bush, and Devin Bush's like, well, you know, this whole team sucks too. It's not just me. And, you know, that's kind of what happened. And so, you know, he kind of got slandered on his way out the door. He goes to Seattle, and, you know, you'd think that's the end of it. But, and I'm not just doing this for no reason, because there is a reason. But, you know, all of a sudden, we start losing, and Devin Bush is tweeting. He's tweeting laughing emojis about us. Laughing emojis about the Steelers, man. And guys, I defended Devin Bush for a while. I was like, we gotta relax, we gotta chill, we gotta blah 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 blah. But really, laughing emojis, Devin Bush, really? And you know, you're still the NFL player, I'm not. But 8 tackles, man, really? Come on, we can't be slandering the Steelers, man. If you're gonna send shots, I'm sending shots back. Come on, that's unbelievable. But I say all that to say, of course, you know, if he ever sees this, this part isn't gonna get watched, but. This guy replied, Rick Brown Basketball, shout out to him. Could have used that draft pick, Colbert and Tomlin. Could have used that draft pick, Colbert and Tomlin. Knew when he came out in that clown suit, he'd be soft, but he'll probably have a career game this week. Let's get a gunshot. 2 things. 1, I liked his suit that he got drafted with. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm just, you know, whatever, but I like the suit. 2, we gotta let this shit go, man. What we gave up to trade up for Devin Bush is not affecting us this bad. Like, it didn't affect us that bad. Like, to me, and like that's what pisses me. Like that, like, you guys are scaring, man. Like you guys are making it so we're not gonna make these moves. And granted, Devin Bush didn't work out, but I don't think we paid an insane asking price to trade up for Devin Bush. And before he got hurt, he was a solid player. And at the time too, it was like, we need a middle linebacker. Let's go get a middle linebacker. And it's not Devin Bush's fault that we traded up for him, you know? It's not Devin Bush's fault that he had the injury he did. But, past that, you know, the tweets, the you know, the on the field, maybe not necessarily caring the most. I don't know. Maybe that's his fault. I don't want to get into that. But Steelers fans, to me, unjustly kind of murked Devin Bush. They kind of slandered him so much. And I guess you can only take so much, so he's fighting back. But it is what it is. Devin Bush, you know, whatever. We're playing him. I hope, you know, Naj and Jalen Warren cook. I've seen Devin Bush in the run game, and, you know, and that was a big thing. In the run game, Devin Bush was not good. So if he comes in, you know, on Seattle, he has a fucking stellar game in the run game, and we just can't run the ball, then, man, well, unbelievable, man. I guess he'll have the last laugh for now. One more thing, too. Miles Jack played 1 game and has better stats than Devin Bush all year. This is before, you know, before the I believe game he started, because the Seahawks, they're kind of going through injury here, and so Devin Bush is getting brought in to, like, kind of, you know, emergency has to play. You know, this is, you know, the laughing emojis Devin Bush, but laugh. It took 700 injuries for Devin Bush to play. You know, whatever. Talking about the Steelers. But yeah, he's gonna be playing now. And Miles Jack, we saw Miles Jack off the couch was putting up similar stats. This is all because he laughed. I wouldn't just, you guys know me, I wouldn't just come out here like, yo, Devin Bush, you suck. You know, I wouldn't just do that. But there is a reason for this, and now we're playing him. And so, hey, man, may the better team win. Will Devin Bush get to tweet more? Or will, you know, Steelers Nation is going to absolutely destroy Devin Bush if, like, you know, if we win and, like, he misses a tackle. Like, I would say just straight up deactivate the Twitter, Devin, if you see this. But you know, maybe you can take it. Maybe you're ready to respond back. I don't know. But we are going to be playing Devin Bush. It is exciting. And we are going to be playing the Seahawks. I haven't really talked about this game that much. But where we are in the season, like this team, the Steelers themselves, this team, you know, you never know. You never know. Maybe we'll get the Mason game. Maybe we'll go back to no points and an insane defense. Maybe the defense and the offense won't come to play at the same time. You know, it's just we never know with this team. All we can hope for is a win. All we can hope for is Mason Rudolph continue to be him. All we can hope for is Devin Bush is still bad in the run in the run department. And yeah, really, that's all I can say about the game. Once again, you know, Mason Rudolph, big Mason Rudolph. We'll see. Kenny Pickett isn't even activated, so like, no chance of Kenny coming in. I don't think I started it out with this thing, and I don't think I mentioned it up until now. But Kenny, he hasn't. He said he hasn't learned anything on being on the bench. I don't want to put it out there, but you know, I don't think I necessarily don't think he's the happiest about being on the bench. Will that come to effect when I keep talking about we lose him if we play him and like he plays bad, or we lose him if we take another first round quarterback? Like I don't know if we lost Kenny or not. You know, after this, we'll see. We'll see in this situation if he's ready to come back, next man up. We will see if maybe for the Ravens game that Kenny can come back in if Mason plays bad. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah. I think I am going to get out of here. That is going to be it for this video. We got about, what, 35 minutes? I think it's going to get edited down to about 30 minutes. Shout out. I love talking about the Steelers. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it all the way to this point, you are a real one. But yeah, like I said, I am going to get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow for the post-game reaction. Hopefully it is a splendid W. And Happy New Year, everybody. I think I'll have videos before the New Year is actually a thing. But in case I forget, Happy New Year's. 2023 was sick. 2024 will be sicker. And this has been Zaya from Zaya and the Steelers. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out and go Steelers.